Welcome back, I'm Devi, and this is a yin yoga class for the upper body. So you will need a couple of yoga blocks and have a towel available or a rolled yoga mat, an extra mat in addition to the one that you're on. And we will get started taking it into an upper back bend over 2 blocks, which is sometimes called the supported fish pose. So I'll show you with blocks, and if you don't have blocks, again, you're gonna have stacks of books. A couple of stacks of books. One is maybe 4 inches high to match this block, and then the other one's 6 inches high for under your head. And now as you come back, you'll want to aim to get this first block at your middle back, right behind your heart, and the one that's under your head right at the base of the skull. So not too high up, not down at the neck, but supporting the skull. And now take the legs into a butterfly shape, soles of the feet together, knees wide, or really any position of the legs that you like. And this one we will hold for 3 minutes because this is such a nice heart opener. And I'll talk about the options here since this exact height of blocks might not be perfect for you. So some people want to have more sensation here. And if that's you, you will want to have this block that's under your back up higher on the next height, or some people even like it at the highest height, but some people just want to be more at the middle height. That's pretty common. And then this one under the head, if you want more intensity, you can also take that down. So that gives you more back bend when you bring the heart up or when you bring the head down. And so on the other side of it, if you want less intensity, you'll want to work with a lesser amount of support under the back, which if this 4-inch block height is too much, then you can use something else like a rolled towel or a rolled blanket. And so after the first little bit here, you might find you have a little more to work with. So that's what I'm going to do, is come up to this middle height and then see where my head wants to be. If this is too intense, take what's under your head up, or take what's under your back down. And now just enjoy wherever you are, making sure you're able to breathe and soften over your props. And relax into it. Feel your body soften. Feel your jaw relax. Feel your throat and your collarbones soften. And soften into your breath. So the upper body has less of a concentration of fascia than the lower body. And that's why yin yoga is often said to be really just for the lower body. Yin yoga for the lower body, yang yoga is more appropriate for the upper body. And so I do kind of go by that. However, some 1.5 and 2 minute holds of certain positions can feel quite nice in the upper body, and that is pretty much what we're going for today after we do this 3-minute heart opener. So for the last few breaths here, if it feels good to your body to experiment with different arm positions, you can try it. Arms come up over the head. Maybe you interlace your fingers and press your palms up and away, or maybe you hold opposite forearms or elbows. Or maybe just let the arms hang and reach up there. Good. Bring the arms back down to your sides now and slowly push up, or you can roll to one side first if that seems like a better, safer option for your body. And we're all quite different in our upper bodies. So as we move through these postures, I want you to really take care of yourself and listen to your body. If something that I'm doing doesn't feel right to you, then do your own version of it or skip it. So go ahead and come to hands and knees position, and then into the puppy stretch. So puppy stretch, letting the hips come back and settling down through the heart. And this one is 1.5 minutes. And you could let your head hover like I'm doing at the moment, or you might like to be more restful and let the head come down. Either way, stretching into the shoulders is our goal here, stretching into the armpit area in particular. And so you might bring your chin to the ground. Some people do that comfortably. Others even bring the chest to the ground. My body doesn't do those things, so I won't show you that. But if you have more range of motion in your shoulders than me, then you might be there, chest to the ground or chin to the ground. And for a last few moments here, I'll show you one other option I enjoy, which you might want to try, is a block under the forehead or a block under the chin. So if you have more limited shoulders like I do, this can help you relax. Good, and now coming back up, back to hands and knees, and finding your couple of blocks or stacks of books, and place them down under your shoulders. And now coming into this second version of the puppy pose, which is for the triceps. So your triceps are this part of your arm, the back of the upper arm. And as we come into this version, come onto your elbows and pardon me, okay, elbows on the block, and bring your hands to somewhere behind your head as you settle back through your sitting bones. Your ribs are settling down toward the earth. So your palms together is one option of what to do with the hands, or you could just rest the hands at the back of the neck, or for some of you the hands will come back farther down behind the heart. So the rotation of the hands is something you can play around with. You don't have to do this palms together thing, but if it feels good, go for it. And in both of these versions of puppy pose, the knees are usually somewhat under the hips, but they don't need to be like directly under it. And some teachers will teach that you have to have this perfect right angle here of the hips. And that's really not what the pose is about. The pose is about stretching the upper body. So just get the angles that feel good in your hips, that help you to drop the heart in this way, that help you to sink down in the ribs. And maybe the knees want to be a little wider or a little narrower. That's also something you can play around with. And steady breath. Softening in the shoulders, triceps, the heart. Good, and now releasing, coming back up to hands and knees. And into child's pose. So let the arms be down alongside of your body for this child's pose. 1 minute here. And after doing a lot of that extended arm position, now just feeling this nice softness around the upper back, from shoulder to shoulder and at the base of your neck. And if your head doesn't reach the ground easily in child's pose, put something under it, a block or a firm pillow. Soften into the breath. Steady and even breathing. And releasing the arms forward now to come into this side child's pose. So 1 minute to each side. Take your arms both over to the right to begin, and now your left hand will come on top of your right. And you're stretching into the left side of the torso, particularly the left side of the ribs here. And whether your forehead is on the ground or not on the ground is kind of up to you. And some people like to rest the head, like the ear, on the left arm and to do a little bit of kind of this twisting movement. Some people like to just keep the head in more of a hovering position, and others prefer to just rest it on the ground. So the side of the body, the side of the torso, and the outside of the upper arm is what we're going for. Feeling the stretch there. Good, releasing, and now taking it to the second side. So right hand on top of the left. And coming back to center and up to hands and knees. Now from here, taking it into the thread the needle pose. So your left hand slides under the right. So you're just from a regular hands and knees position. The knees can be about hips width or a little wider or narrower as you like. And now resting the head down on the left ear. Take this right hand up above the head. And the stretch here is two places, the outside of the upper arm. Not everyone feels that. If you don't have a lot of tension there in the outer left arm, then you might not feel that. And the other place is the neck here. So you want to bring your left ear away from your shoulder and then use this hand that's above your head to tilt into it a little bit more. Don't max out that tilt or that twist yet, because we are going there, but we're not going there quite yet. Just mostly focusing on the side of the neck. And this hand that's above the head, some people like to do more of a tent shape with those fingers. Bend the elbow a bit, so bring the hand in to give a little elbow, and then you have a little more leverage. So up to you, straight arm or that version. Lengthening the side of the neck for another 2 breaths. And now bringing it into the Rolling Panda pose. So your right foot comes out to the side like a kickstand. And I'm going to bend my elbow here to stabilize my upper body a little more. And now this leg might be straight out from the hip or back a bit. That's not so important. It's more about just helping you to open this hip so that you can get more range of motion to twist into this. And now getting the weight onto the back of the skull some more. So I'm doing a bit more of a forward bend here, chin toward the chest. And now 1 minute here. And what you do with this arm above the head might vary. You could keep it up above the head with those versions from the last bit, or you could reach it up and you might just enjoy opening in some position here, or even just exploring space. Or you might enjoy wrapping it behind your lower back, perhaps even holding on to the left thigh. And this is primarily for the trapezius, which is the upper back of the neck muscle that wings out to the shoulders and connects to the back of the ribs. All right, and now releasing this rolling panda, come back to hands and knees, and just take a moment to rest in child's pose and feel the effects of that. Feel your breath. Good, and now taking it to the second side, for which I will turn around just so it's easier to see what I'm doing. And your right hand now comes underneath your left. Your knees again are close together, or hips width, or really whatever width feels good to you. And the right ear lengthens along the ground away from the shoulder. Yeah. So we've got some amount of twisting here for sure, but keeping the main focus on the outer deltoid on the right side of the arm and the right side of the neck. And there might be more movement. I tend to move around more in my upper body yin poses, and I think that has to do with there again being not quite as much fascia in the upper body as the lower body. And so we're kind of navigating our bones more, navigating the places where our bones touch each other in the spine and in the shoulder joint and in the ribs. And so it's all just, I think of it as kind of giving love to all of these bony attachments, these places where the bones meet one another, and there's all this yummy fascia and bursa and ligaments in between and fluids that keep us happy. We're just sort of giving some love to all those little anatomical bony parts. Let's bring it now into the rolling panda. So taking the left foot out to the side like a kickstand, your choice of the angle here, and starting to tuck the head a little farther under. You decide how much. And then this left hand can come up above the head, or explore space up here, or wrap behind the back. And slowly releasing, coming back around, and then resting in your child's pose. 1 minute of rest. You can choose if you want arms forward or back at your sides, whatever would make your shoulders happier in this moment.
And inhaling a big breath into the back body. Feel it spread across the back of your ribs, the lower back. And releasing to come up. So please sit on your heels in Seiza, or if this position doesn't work for you, then you can do what we're about to do with your legs crossed, sitting with crossed legs. So I'll turn around so you can see what's happening, because the hand is coming behind the back. So your right hand comes behind your back with the back of the hand against the back of the ribs, if you can get it there. And that's the basic pose there, is to just have the hand right there. You can experiment with crawling the hand farther up the back. And some of you are familiar with the cow face pose, taking the left hand up, and I'll encourage you to do that only if you're experienced with the pose, and if you feel confident, you can keep your awareness on opening this right shoulder. The front of the right shoulder is what we really want to focus on, and sometimes bringing this hand into it, like the cow face pose, sort of takes it steals that stretch away. So only if that works for you. Otherwise, this is the stretch we're working with. For some people, reaching over and holding that elbow helps. For me, it doesn't. I just like to do it just like this. And I'm also working on lifting the chest. So there's a little bit of a feeling of a back bend here for me, making sure I'm not doing the pose like this, which is not a chest and shoulder stretch at all, but keeping the chest lifted, the head back in space. And releasing that. And now the second side, left hand comes behind your back. Stretching into the front of the left shoulder, crawling the hand up the back if you like, if it works for you to do that. So we're working with our internal rotation and also a little bit of this opening of the chest, so this retraction of the shoulder blades. Two ranges of motion. And I do, like I said, I like to find the movement here, get some fluid movement in the head and the neck. And releasing, left hand comes down, and now staying in your seated position, and spread your arms out to the sides, and now take your right elbow underneath your left, and then eagle arms if this works for you. This does not work for everyone to bring the palms together like this, so if that's you, then hug around the back of your arms or shoulders or shoulder blades. Right arm under the left. And then whichever version you're in, you can begin to lift the elbows a little bit just for a moment, squeezing between the shoulder blades and the upper back. Even if you're here, you're doing this. And now bringing it into a forward bend for the upper back. So it's like your chin is coming down toward your chest and your elbows are coming down toward your ribs. And releasing, and open the arms out to the sides again, and now the other side. So taking your left elbow under your right, palms together or wrapping around, and lifting up into that back bend, and taking the chin down to the chest now and resting here. And not very well understood fact of the human body is if your arms don't do this eagle arm, a lot of people, the palms can't get together and they feel frustrated about that. It has not much to do with your flexibilities or doing something wrong. It just has to do with the shape of your bones, and it may never get better. It's likely to just be that way unless you feel a lot of tension in your upper body that you think you can stretch through. Sometimes the shape of the collarbones and the arm bones just do not allow this. And that's why I really want to make sure you're comfortable with this option, holding the back of the shoulder blades. All right, good. Let's come back up now. And taking it onto the belly for open wing and folded wing. These are two of our yin postures that are for the front and back of the shoulders. So your right arm comes out to the right side for open wing. And now make sure you have either a block or a firm pillow or a folded blanket nearby to put under the head. Not everyone needs this, but I'm going to show it to you with the block, and you can try it with or without. So I'm bringing my right ear or the right side of my head onto the block as I roll open to open up my chest here. I'm rolling onto the right outer hip bone, left hip on top of the right. And for some of you, especially if you have shoulder issues, this might be too much for you. So if this is too much for you, you're going to do the pose more with your left hand on the ground in front of you and gauge the stretch there, and don't try to bring this hip up and back quite so much. If you're comfortable here bringing the hip up, you might then from here take it into left knee up in the air. Some people both knees up in the air, and this hand can be behind the back. Some people like to reach back and clasp the hands. My shoulders don't do that. And lastly, I will show you that we can do it with the head back in space a little bit more. So rather than ending up where it's easy to end up here where your chin is to your chest, and what you're doing is kind of unconsciously protecting this shoulder when you do that. So instead, maybe come into less of an opening, but let the head be back so you feel open in your chest, you feel like your skull's moving toward your back body, and from there opening into your shoulder stretch. And again, if you feel tender here, if you feel like you need to be careful, then this hand on the floor will help you to gauge the stretch. If you want to work without the block, it looks like this, or if you want to work with less height, like a smaller folded towel or something, that's another option. Good, releasing and moving into the second side. So left arm comes out to the left side. Oh wait, I want to show you on this side, don't I? Left arm to the left side, and right hip rolls up on top of the left. So again, do you want to have your right hand behind your back? Do you want to have it on the floor? Do you want to have head support? Do you want to let this knee point up into the air, or both knees? And some people like to just keep the legs straight or somewhat straight, and then this top leg is just kind of in the air, and it works like a lever. And the more you bring the foot back, the more you're getting a stretch in the shoulder. If you want less stretch, you bring that lever farther toward the front of the body. So stay there, and I'll just show you what I'm saying on the other body for those of you who are new to this concept. So I've got my left hand behind me, and then this top leg, if I bring it farther forward, it's less opening in the chest. If I bring it back, it's more opening in the chest. Open wing. And coming back into the first side, and I'll show you some options, or I'll talk you through some options with the right arm to the right side, where your arm doesn't have to be palm down. It could be palm to the side or up. And so just play around with that a little bit, as well as this angle. Is the arm down near the hip, or is it farther up and out? And because of everyone's very different shoulder ranges of motion and flexibilities, we all have different preferences here. So find a different angle, play around with that for another few breaths. A different rotation of the arm, a different angle of the arm down. Some people like to do the hands clasped at this lower angle. And this is your exploration. I'm not showing you exactly what to do, but just talking you through some options here for this open wing pose. Let's take it to the second side. I will flip over just so you can see better. Left hand to the left side. And now a different angle than you did the first time, whether it's a different rotation of the palm or hand farther up or farther down. Maybe the head's coming back in space a little bit more. Maybe the clasp. So here we're stretching the pectorals, the front of the shoulder, the front of the ribs. And let's bring it back around now. And coming into child's pose. And now the folded wings pose. So it's the opposite range of motion that we just worked with. So resting on the belly, and I'll show you, I'm gonna rest on my belly but have my arms folded under me, and it's like it's somewhat like the eagle arms. So I have my left arm above my right to begin with, and I'm going to come down, and there's a choice here of whether you're just gonna let the head come straight to the ground, which is comfortable for some people, forehead on the ground. For others, some support is better. So a firm support like a block is probably better than a pillow, but if you have a firm enough pillow, that may also work. One minute on each side. Now, if you feel pretty tender here with your shoulders, if it's too much, then try one at a time. So take one arm out and just have one arm folded under. And you can gauge the intensity of this by opening up more to make it less intense. Or chest squared to the ground more for more intense. And switching to your second side. So the other arm on top, or swapping the arms out. Very good. Releasing now. And making your way onto your back. And this is where the towel comes in. So either a towel or, like I said, a folded or rolled yoga mat. We want a roll to come back over. So the towel gets rolled like this from its shorter edge, nice and tight. And the towel shouldn't be too thin. I have kind of a thicker towel here. If you have a pretty thin towel or you're a larger person, then your roll is going to look more like this, which I actually do even with this towel. Sometimes, oh, my kitty's meowing. What's the matter, kitty? So I folded it in half to make it thicker, and now I'm rolling it tight. Okay, so rolling here, and now this comes under my upper back. And spilling over that roll. So where I've placed the roll is higher than a lot of people tend to think it should go. So we're not filling in the lower back. That's a different thing, which some people like. I don't find that very satisfying myself, and it doesn't do anything for the upper back. So here I've got it under the bottom of my shoulder blades. It's pretty much behind my heart, like we did with the blocks in the beginning. And then you spill back over it. Your legs can do that butterfly shape again, or they can just be straight ahead. And resting here for 2 minutes total. So stay where you are if you're comfortable. If you're working with a rolled yoga mat, I'll just show you what that looks like as an option. Some people really like that extra firmness of a mat rather than a soft cloth. Releasing, bending the knees and rolling over onto one side to get off of your roll, and taking it into now a position with a block under your seat. So this is our supported bridge pose in yin, but we're going to take it to an optional supported snail or snail pose. So the block is under the hips, and it's not under the lower back here. That's too high. You can see my tailbone dipping down. I want it actually under the bony part of my sacrum at the base of my spine, below my lower back, so farther down toward my feet from my lower back. And this here can be a wonderful place for the neck to lengthen. And it's nice to just roll your shoulders under, like one at a time, tuck it under. And for some people like me, the elbow ends up bending and the hand comes up like this when you really got that. And then if you press your feet into the ground and forward, you can get more of that length. So this is a good place to explore. Or if you want to go farther and you're comfortable inverting and doing the snail, then you start to bring the legs up. And from here, the legs can start to come back over the head. And from here, you may feel comfortable taking the hips off the block. This is not for everybody. but keeping the eye on the prize, which is the neck here, even though you might certainly be feeling some lower back and leg stretch. The main thing that we're working with today is the upper body. So the back of the neck, you might keep your hands at your lower back to get a good back of the neck stretch. You might just do little micro movements in the head, side to side. My feet aren't coming to the ground at this moment, and they usually don't. Sometimes they do when I'm really warmed up, but yours might come to the ground, or they might stay up here, and anywhere in there is fine. We're just using our body weight to stretch the back of the neck. And then a last option with the arms is to reach them up above the head. Any arm position, really, any angle here. See what your neck likes at this moment. And you might not be doing this pose at all. You might have your hips on the block, staying in that supported bridge with the shoulders down away from the skull. So listen to your body. Take the variation that feels best for you. And slowly releasing. So be careful coming out of this as you aim for the block again with your hips. And I think my block moved. Oh, there it is. And now settling back and coming into your final relaxation position. Closing the eyes, making any final adjustments to your body position so that you feel completely relaxed. If you need to bend the knees and rest them against each other, go for it. If you want to put something under your head, go for it. And feeling your body breathing on its own. Soft inhale, steady exhale. The jaw is relaxed, the feet and the hands are relaxed. And the breath is softly expanding and deflating the belly, the chest, the ribs. The skull is relaxed, the bones soft, and the mind is relaxed. And through this steady breathing, you may notice quite a bit of energy in the upper body, quite a sense of aliveness, especially around the heart chakra, the throat chakra, and even into the head and the brain. And this practice also had a good deal of energizing of the solar plexus, which is the ribs, the area of the ribs. So as you breathe, feeling the solar plexus and the lower ribs expand and deflate. And continuing to rest here for as long as you'd like. And I will leave you here
Namaste. I hope that this practice served you well. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like this practice, please subscribe to my channel, hit the thumbs up, and let me know if you have any comments or questions about the practice. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.